On today's episode, just to give you guys a heads up, we're going to do a thorough breakdown of this engine. So do yourselves a favor, grab your pen and paper. Oh, good morning, guys. It's such a...
Dude!
What?
I got some coffee!
I'm trying to...
Merle sent some coffee!
Okay, I
Come
hear
get
you.
some
Okay.
coffee!
Okay, I'm coming.
Come on,
I'm
Dad.
coming.
I've been holding it all night!
Jeez, Earl. Can y'all hear him?
I think
See
you're
what
gonna
he's got.
love it!
What? Oh my goodness, Merle sent this?
I know, right?
Dude! Wood Booger?
What a funny
Are
name!
Are you serious right now? Merle sent this?
Yes, he
Ah,
did! Such a nice
dude,
guy!
that's
Yeah, you
awesome.
should tell him thanks, Dad!
I certainly will.
Let me know how it is!
I'll definitely let you know how it is.
Bye, Dad!
Oh man, this is incredible. Wood Booger. What the? I gotta get in here and try this out. Alright guys, so recap. We ended last episode. We know that the cylinders are rusted. They're not looking great. We're waiting on Joel to call back. We had a great lunch, by the way. So I'm going to go ahead and finish disassembling this engine all the way down. We're going to take the cases apart. We're going to pull that flywheel out. We're going to get all our parts for powder. We're probably going to link up with Joel. We're going to drop off paint and powder. So we have a few things happening in the background. So let's get into this. But first, coffee. You know what, guys? I'm going to bring you back on, and I'm going to look at you this way, because now it's like this. I just said I was going to put you on hold and we were going to call the customer, and I did pause, and then I realized I need to know what's going on down here, what the bottom end looks like before I call him. What's the point? We already know that this is rusted. We can see it. There's no undoing that. So at this point, before I call him, I want to make sure that the transmission is looking pretty decent, or it doesn't. I don't know. We don't know yet. It might be full of water and rust. The bottom half of this may have moisture in it. It may not. It may just have been right here where it was able to condensate. Maybe it sat for a long time without spark plugs. Again, I don't really know the history. I do know where it sat for a couple years was in dry storage, but prior to that, I don't know the history. So unfortunately, this is where we're at. I have a feeling we're going to end up needing to split the case to clean out everything and then also put eyeballs on the bottom end bearings. Before we get that extreme, let's do our best to keep any kind of garbage from falling down in. What I'm going to do now, in case you guys are wondering, because I'm sure somebody out there is like, well, how are you going to do that? I'm going to pop this cover off, and then I'm going to put a 9/16 socket on the end of the cam bolt, and I'm going to turn it, which will turn the engine, and we're going to push all this stuff up to the top of the cylinder. Hopefully then I can kind of brush it off, wipe most of it out, and then we'll do the same with the other cylinder before we get too far. Does that make sense? If not, watch. It'll make sense. So we have two things happening here, guys. Which one do you think we should make a mess with first? Once I pull this, we're going to lose a little bit of oil. I don't really know how much is in the bottom end, but we're going to have some fall out. It's going to make a mess. The clutch cable's kind of in the way. If we take this cover off, it's also going to make a mess because it's going to drip the transmission fluid down into the pan. Either way, we're making a mess now. Doesn't that sound fun? Aren't you guys excited for making messes? I know I certainly am. What did I say in that one video where we were doing the brakes? I say that one video. It's not like I've done a ton of videos, but what did I say in that video where I was doing the brakes? I said custom time or some stupid. Anyways, we're not there. No, I wish. That would be fun. Instead, we're on diagnostic time. Like, now we gotta find out what's going on in here. This ain't good, guys. This ain't good at all. Sorry. Am I in the way here? Let me move you over. My mistake for being in your way. You know? Jeez, the nerve of me, huh? This guy, I tell you. Let me lower you down. Then you guys can maybe get a little bit better view. Let's see, I'm just going to peek in here. Yep, that looks better. Let's see if I'm in here. Now, you know what I... See, I'm jumping ahead not thinking. This needs to come out because it's getting powder coated. So let's just start the disassembly process because that's what has to happen here. In case you guys wonder, You want to loosen this up just a little bit. Get it to where it moves pretty freely like that. There's not a lot of pressure there. Now I'm going to finish taking this out. I'm going to grab my snap ring pliers. I'm also going to grab a sandwich bag because I'm going to end up with tons of bolts. And this project's going to have to move around a few times. I'm going to label the bag so it's much easier for me to find in the end. Ah, there we go. Well, there's transmission fluid in here, I promise, but it's being kind to us at the moment. It's not making a huge mess, which is nice. So since I wasn't fully prepared for the transmission, we're going to set it right here. First part ready for powder. Set this clutch cable on the floor over there. Out of the way. Look at all that oil. Remember what I said? We were going to make a mess. And just so you guys know, it was sitting that deep. In case anybody was wondering. Now that you guys are up there, this is kind of cool. What I'm doing. You notice we're rotating. We're pushing this piston all the way up. It don't want to go any higher. It's got so much crust and rust. The rings are stuck right there. I guess that's a really good thing we didn't try to bang it over there, huh? So we're gonna pull this up till we're near the end of a piston. See? And then we're gonna take this and wrap it all the way around. And we want to make sure, guys, this is important. I know you can't see this from where you're at just now because of the angle, but you will see it as soon as I pull it up. It's important that you cover the entire bore hole and any hole around it that could get debris or shrapnel in it. So I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but we got problems. Dang it. I'm going to hit this. It's looking pretty good, I suppose. There's definitely some pre-detonation happening here. Not hideous, no, but there is some. So there's something going on back here that we haven't talked about yet, guys, and I'm kind of afraid to be honest with you. But here's what it is. And as you remove this, make sure that you fold it up, please. You know, you would think people would know this, but not everyone knows this. Fold this into a ball, so any of the things that you caught are now caught in here, and they don't fall back into the engine, because, you know, that just totally defeats what we were doing. So here's something I want you guys to see and take notice of. Does anybody notice what's wrong here? Can anyone tell me? The connecting rod is just standing straight up, and it should not be. The connecting rod should fall over. That is an extreme tight spot. Wherever we're at, it's tight. I'm going to do the same on this cylinder. Same thing underneath. As you wrap it around this back side, you're going to tuck it, fold it over itself so that it's completely covered and nothing can fall in. And then again, as you go to remove, you want to make sure that it's like a bowl. We have to keep pulling this apart, so that's not going to change. It's just going to be a matter now of what do we need, what do we want, or what does he want, and let's see. So see this connecting rod? Does anybody notice how it just stands here? It should fall over, but if your flywheel does that ever, no, it's no good. Okay guys, I just want to take a moment to remind everyone that we have currently done nothing more than essentially take the covers off. When we did the rocker arm support bolts, we backed them off quarter turn at a time. And because I don't know if I sped through this in time lapse or not, so I did want to cover this. We're going to continue with the disassembly. I'm going to pull all the covers off that need to get powder coated. All of these are going to get done in black. You guys may see some other colors written there, but the original Wild Child has gotten toned down a little bit. We're just going to pull all these out because we don't want them to go flying. So for the disassembly here, I hope this is working for you guys. So we're going to observe these because we don't truly know what these look like. I didn't know if there would be moisture in here. We know there's rust in the cylinders, so one would have to assume that we may potentially find rust here as well. For those of you that are curious what we're going to do here, we're literally just going to lay these down in the order that they came out and in the hole that they came out of, and we want to keep track of these guys. We don't want these to get mixed up. If need be, clean them up and write on the side of them with a permanent marker, and do your best not to wipe that permanent marker off. So for example, this is front intake. Make sure that dries. Set that off on the side. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I'm writing on the outboard side, so that's going to tell me the direction so that I don't get these flipped around 180 and have the wheel going in the wrong direction. This one's front exhaust. Just going to mark it, and again, set her off to the side. Check the wheel condition of each one. Make sure they look good. We are going to retain his cams if possible. Now I do have some cams over here. I will talk with him about them. But for the moment, we're going to assume that we're going to reuse these cams. We're going to assume that there's nothing wrong here. So for that purpose, we want these matched, and we want the wheels going in the same direction, and we don't want damage on the wheels. If you need to, after you write on your lifters and you set them off to the side, you can bag them if that's going to be easier for you to keep them clean. So continuing on, now we're going to remove this. As we do this, I'm going to show you, I'm going to remove the bottom screw. I'm just going to crack it loose. I don't want to take it out. The top one, I want this one all the way out. And because that bottom one's loose, now this can swing down. And because this will fall out, we want to, again, mark this with the direction that it goes. The same with the chain. Everything needs to be marked and everything needs to go back in its same orientation or same direction. Why, might you ask? Good question. The reason that we do that is because everything wears together. This rubs on this chain. This chain is not perfect. I promise it is not perfectly smooth. It has micro cuts in it. And so it has caused scratches in this, or a wear pattern. And you want that chain to continue going in the same direction. If you were to flip this over, it may potentially start grabbing the plastic and rip chunks out prematurely. So rather than do that, let's just mark the outside. This is the outboard side. It doesn't matter. You could put a dot, a circle, a heart, you could draw the Mona Lisa on there for all I care. Just mark it so you know which way was out. We're also going to want to mark the chain for those of you that don't know how to keep track of your chain. And I promise when I say this, I'm not trying to be smart or like assuming that anyone watching this is dumb. I'm saying this because a lot of people might take the chain off. I'm just going to color the whole big chunk of this just so you guys can see it real obvious. This is obviously the outboard side of this chain. That's not marked for any reason. It's not timing. It's just to indicate which direction the chain was going, and being the outside versus the inside. Now we're going to take these two off. So it's not in there super tight. Anyways, when you remove this, these are typically one-time use bolts. Harley sells a kit for both this one and this. They sell you a nice little 2-bolt kit to buy. You don't always have to do that. I promise not everybody replaces these all the time, but these do stretch and they can break relatively easily on the second install if you were to over torque it. Ask me how I know, says the man that gives you the warning. Now we're going to remove the bottom one. Same thing. Just going to hit that, it should come out. Now, for those of you at home that don't have pneumatic, or you're going to break this loose by hand, you're going to need the little tool. I can no longer read the part number. And as you guys can see, it looks It's really tough to even tell that that's a Screaming Eagle. This says crank side, this says Screaming Eagle and cam side, and then there's an 08L, but that's it. I can't read anything else. So, but that's going to go in here. That's going to lock down these two gears, much like that. And then the crank can't rotate. Nothing can rotate, and you'll be able to back that off and loosen that up. I will do my best to find this part number and put it in the description below. And then we're going to pull this off. It's the end of the cams. Here, guys, for those of you that don't know, this is the cam door. This is the pump side of the flywheel, or this is the oil pump right behind here. These are the 4 screws to the oil pump. For purposes of what we're doing here, guys, I'm not going to separate the oil pump from the oil plate, at least not yet. I don't need to have 800 parts scattered around, but before we go to reassemble this, I will most likely remove the oil pump from the plate at that time. And I'll show you how we center it and do that fun stuff. We're going to leave the oil pump attached to the plate. I'm going to grab myself a little drip cloth over here. Oh, I got one right down here. Look, I was already ready and didn't even know it. I grabbed myself another cloth. We're going to pull this out. Get this out. We got a little stiction there, guys. Cams do we have in here? We have these stock cams, CVO 255. So here's something we can take note of. This cam lobe has a distinct wear line on it, and you know, this is a used motorcycle. So for now, I'm gonna retain the cam plate whole. I know we will break this down. I'm gonna leave the tensioner on. The cams are in. There's some little bit of tension on the chain. The pump's still bolted. Everything's still tight. I'm going to leave it this way, like I said, for now. It's one piece to move instead of the pump plus all the gerotors, plus the chain, plus the cams, plus the tensioner, plus the shoe, plus the screws. You know, it's a lot less for me to manage. So I apologize if you are like, break that down. We'll break that down a little bit later. So what's the next thing we want to get off since we've gotten this out? Let's take... How is it looking from this direction? Is it any better? There's some cams for this thing. I think those will be exciting, actually, guys. I really hope. I hope they'll be exciting. 259Es. I know they're Harleys, and I know I'll get a lot of flack for that they're Harleys, but they're damn good cams, to be honest with you. They're snappy, they're smooth on the power delivery, they got a great amount of horsepower that carries through. They do well. I believe in the end we're going to tune this with a Thundermax, so we'll see how it goes. You know what I am going to do? I'm going to pause this here because I need to go get some sandwich baggies. I'll be back. Now that we're back, this whole duct tapey dealy, doesn't that just look awesome, guys? I mean, that looks professional. Obviously, we have no derby cover. Looks like we have a clutch, though. But do we trust a Dyna clutch?
No!
No, I don't think anybody should trust a Dyna stock clutch basket. I wouldn't. Not if you intend on snapping the throttle, doing a couple wheelies, or trying to monkey around and, you know, do stunts and stuff. No, you're going to lose that battle, and you're probably going to break it, and then when it breaks, it's going to get in here, and it's going to lock up everything, and it's just going to make you a big old mess. I promise. It's not fun. Some guys out there know exactly what I'm talking about, and I promise there's at least one of you watching that's going, man, I'm going through that right now, or I just went through it, or whatever. But yeah, it's an unfortunate reality, guys. It's real. That is real. For those of you wondering what it is I'm doing, if you can tell, I have a pan under here, but I'm about to drain a quart of oil into said pan, and it looks like this pan's going to hold this oil, but I don't want it. I want it in the pan, if that makes sense. I don't want it not in the pan. So now I feel better. Look, so when I take it off, there's a little piece of wood under there that I think the cover's sitting on, and it is. But you know what? We'll deal with that when we get there, and we're not there. So let's not deal with it. I like that. Who else is with me? Somebody got that. Somebody's like, I like that thinking. Yep. We don't have to keep track of these guys. if you want to keep track of these, here's a recommendation for those of you that have never done this. Take yourself a piece of cardboard, a flat, you know what, I'm not even concentrating on what I'm doing. So take yourself a flat piece of cardboard that it doesn't have to be this big, but make sure it's big enough that you can poke as many holes and put these bolts in it. And then you're going to draw yourself basically this shape, and you're going to poke these many holes. Even if your holes are this close together because your cardboard's only this big, that's okay. Just draw yourself a general shape, and then you'll remember where each bolt went and where it goes. You can do the same with the cam cover. You can do the same with all the covers. If you're unsure and you've never done this before, and you're like, I want to make sure that that bolt goes back in the same place because the threads are matched and they're happy, fine, so be it, good on you. Mark the cover on cardboard, poke it in the cardboard, then no matter how long you're away from it, when you go back, it goes back where it came from. Anyways, moving along. If you're like me and you realize that that doesn't matter so much and they can go wherever they go and they're all going to be happy, then just pull them all out. The long ones go in the long holes and all the rest are the exact same length. Now, if you have an older Dyna or Softail or even bagger, you will have different length primary bolts in different locations. So in those cases, obviously figure out which ones are the long ones and which ones are the short ones, and it'll be the same process. Now that we've gotten all that off, there it went. All right. So for those of you that are wondering what I was prying against, was this right here. You can kind of see the scratches here and along there. I didn't damage this surface or that surface, nor did we damage this surface. We were prying against the chain and this to push. So I know that looked very aggressive and it probably sounded bad. I can 100% assure you we didn't assault anything here. We just had to get it forced past this bent shaft. So, success! Bob's your uncle. And sometimes, unfortunately, a pry bar is necessary. Okay, now that you got to watch me make that big old mess, some are gonna say, well, how the hell, now that you got all that loose, are you gonna knock this loose when I've already taken the engine apart? And I'm going to say to those, good question. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to do because I knew someone would ask that. And that's okay. Like I said, it's a great question. Bump plate. Okay, let's get our air. I think we're going to need a little heat, but you know, I really don't know. Those are one-time use, by the way, guys. I have been known to reuse them in a pinch. I do like to try to replace them. Yes, they are one-time use in the book. This is what's known as a left-hand thread, meaning righty is loose and lefty is tight. I know the other way it's normally lefty loosey, righty tighty, but in left-hand thread it's the opposite. And the chain, and wait, like I said, woohoo! Part of that chain is hot still. Y'all saw how hot we just got it. So rather than pull those off, let's get the inner primary off. Let's get that out of the way. All right, so we got all those loose. There we go. There we go. All right, voila. There you go. This is the engine case, transmission case. This is where they're bolted together. This seam right here, this is how they separate. So for those of you wondering, the engine and the transmission is now unbolted. Kind of see the air gap in here. We're going to go ahead and pull it apart. I'm going to set you here. Hopefully, this is a pretty good angle for you guys. I don't know. Okay, so now that they're apart, obviously it wasn't that hard. Once we get to this point in the game, it's definitely not very hard anymore. That is the interface or interconnect gasket, guys. If you ever wonder, if any of you ever have a twin cam, or especially, now this goes back to like 2001, 2002, they had an issue here with sealing. It's a different case, guys, different design. These had oil lines that came in the side here, and this one hasn't integrated. But those model years, they used to leak right here. They used to leak here and through here, and you'll get this whole seam is damp. If you have one of those and that seam is damp, it's because the sealant didn't get placed right through here. That was a thing at the factory for a short time, especially on Softail models or Twin Cam A models as well. So nowadays, if you have a wet seam here, chances are your interconnect gasket or this part of your gasket, the rubber seal portion, has gotten dry and brittle and it's no longer sealing. So just something to be aware of. If you notice wetness in there, now you kind of see what has to happen. Do you have to disassemble the engine all the way to do this? No. And this can be done in the frame, by the way, guys. It's tough. I'll be real, it's tough. But you can replace the interconnect gasket with the engine and transmission in the frame once you remove the shocks and allow the swing arm and the transmission to shift backwards. You have to unbolt the primary, but if you can shift all that backwards far enough, you can slide that interconnect gasket in and out. And because it has these nifty little Christmas tree clips or locating dowels, all you got to do is slide it in and get those lined up, pop them in, and Bob's your uncle. What we need to do now, guys, is get the flywheel out of the cases. It's not that hard, I promise. Once you've gotten this far, if you guys are with me and you've done it, you're doing this at home and you've gotten this far, congratulations, because you're almost done. There's a couple ways we can do this. I just want to preface this. This here is the stator. The stator can be unbolted and removed. Stator can also be left right there for now. I'm choosing to leave it on there because if you recall, we're taking all this apart and I'm going to have 100 million pieces and I'd rather have less pieces. So if I can leave this here, then I don't have to keep track of the 4 screws that hold it on there, nor this, and I don't stand a chance of tearing the rubber right this minute. Although I will have to remove it to press the new bearings in. But again, we'll get there when we get there. So for now, I'm going to leave this here. For those of you that are seeing that and you're like, well, why is that happening? That's why. The CKP sensor is right here. It doesn't have to be removed either. It can stay in the case for now if you choose to leave it there. Okay, congratulations. Woo, we got this far. Okay. Now the fun part of separating the cases. And why do I say that this is the fun part, you ask? Because they don't come apart all that easily. For those of you wondering what I was doing, I'm keeping these from smacking the case. Just gonna hold those together. I use the round or a derby cover O-ring, and that'll hold that there for now. That's all I wanna do, because we're gonna end up hitting this with a hammer. Truth be told, I may time lapse to speed this up because it might take a moment or two. I know you're a little bit far away, so I'll bring you in for a second. You notice we're just barely getting the seam split. And again, I tied these together so that they're not banging against the case. You don't want them to smack here and ruin the edges of the case or the spigot bore in the case. We're going to separate this. As you notice, it's pretty evenly separated. I can't fully just pull it apart yet. It's not quite there, but I'm going to use some plastic screwdriver style deals, and I'm going to pry that apart a little bit. If you're using a metal screwdriver, be very careful because this is your sealing surface. And so to show you what I'm doing with the metal screwdriver, is I took a thick one and I inserted it, and then I'm only turning. I'm just using my twisting pressure to separate. And I'm also using my fingers here to help spread this apart so I don't have to use as much force with this. Remember, this is your sealing surface. If you damage that, it's never going to seal and you're always going to have a leak. So don't damage that. And then from here, as we said earlier, we're just going to take this apart. Just going to work at it a little bit at a time. And you want to work both sides together. So what that means, guys, I'm finally, I think I'm free. If you notice, the case is moving now. So when we work both sides together, tends to come apart a little easier. There you go. And that's it. For those of you that have been wondering, what does that look like in there? There you go. That is just that. That is what it looks like in there. Okay. Good news. There's no junk, chunks of metal down in the bottom of here. So that's always a good sign. Okay, so now that we've gotten this far, we got one case half off, we're just gonna remove the flywheel. To show you how I'm gonna do this, I'm literally gonna hold the case with my left hand, grab the flywheel with my right, lift up a little bit, and then out she goes. And then we're gonna set that to the side because we don't need that anymore. There you go. Now we've got an empty set of cases. Just that simple. Wasn't that hard? Next step's gonna be that we have a flywheel on order. It's on the way. There's some cylinders and pistons that are on the way as well. So we have these major components on the way. Once they're here, we'll get the engine put back together. We need to get the powder and the paint out. So how about let's do that? Let's get this stuff packed up. Let's grab the powder and the paint and let's go see Joel. But hey, before we head to Joel's, I'm getting a little hungry. Let's go find Melissa and head into Winter Garden. Let's get some food.
So, today's adventure may not be as exciting for you, but it's one that's very near and dear to our heart because we live here. This is Winter Garden.
I don't know why she prefaced that with this may not be exciting to you guys, because guess what? It's gonna be exciting. We're out here, we're not quite professionals, but we're aspiring to be something, and we're out here doing stuff. So here we go. Winter Garden is a small town known for its charm. Melissa's lived here for 15 years and watched it grow exponentially. We frequent this town often because here on the main strip, called Plant Street, there are several great restaurants and places to shop. Like many cities in Florida, Winter Garden is full of Native American history. Winter Garden was settled in the 1850s and officially became incorporated in the early 1900s and was a popular community known for its fishing and citrus industry. Sadly, this polluted Lake Apopka, which is the second largest lake in Florida, but efforts have been made to clean the lake. Today we had lunch in the Plant Street Market, which opened in 2015. It's a collection of local artisans and is anchored by the award-winning Crooked Can Brewery. Melissa loves their beer, but will not be having any today because we rode here on our motorcycle. There are over 20 vendors here, and today I chose a delicious pimento mac and cheese, and Melissa had her favorite octopus ceviche. If you're ever in the mood for a small town vibe, be sure to check out Winter Garden. We think you'll love it as much as we do.
What'd you get?
I got macked out. Pimento mac and cheese.
I got my
Octopus.
ceviche. So, like I said, I have lived here for 15 years. Chris did not live here. You lived north of here. But you moved in, what, over a year ago?
Where? Your place?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I started dragging him down here pretty often. So now he's familiar with this area.
I have become a regular.
If you haven't picked up on it yet, Chris is more of a homebody, and I am more of the adventurous one. So we kind of balance each other out.
Homebody.
Yeah, you don't really like to go out, and I don't like to sit still. We venture into Winter Garden quite often, so if you're ever in this area, hit us up. I'm gonna enjoy my ceviche.
Don't hit us up. We like our
Hit us
private.
up.
Don't follow us. That's creepy.
And as always, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. Stay upside and we'll see you on the flip.